Welcome back to Trainer Tuesdays. Today we are going to talk about understanding strength curves and improving your mind-muscle connection to maximize those gains. So when we jump into this, we'll look at the bell curve, the ascending and the descending curve, and how tension changes with each one of those different examples. Starting off with the bell curve. This is an example of an exercise like a bicep curl, where as you go up, the exercise is most difficult in the mid-range. So notice, not as difficult up top, really hard here in the middle, and then down at the bottom it gets a little easier. With a bell curve, the maximum amount of tension is right in the middle of that mid-range. With a linear ascending curve, this is an example of an exercise like a squat or a bench press. When I'm at the bottom range of motion, so down at the bottom of this squat, this is where I'm getting the most tension on the muscle groups I'm training, and it is also where the exercise is the hardest. So that's an example of a ascending strength curve. And then looking at a descending strength curve, this is where it's hardest at the top of the exercise. So a lateral dumbbell raise is a great way to show this. The further up I go, the harder it gets, all the way at the peak there at the top, being the most difficult place for me to contract and squeeze those muscles I'm training. So why is this important? Because if we can be better about exercise selection and setup, we can maximize our exercise, our time in the gym, and we won't have to do so much volume. So especially as your training age gets up there, your body doesn't respond to volume as well. In fact, it can actually fatigue you. So getting more strategic by picking the right types of exercises, maybe changing up your angles, using cables more, using bands, using chains for extra resistance or assistance. This can better match muscle profiles and actually help you improve muscle strength, hypertrophy, size, and power without having to do more, just getting more bang for your buck with the exercises you are doing. So a good example of subbing out a lateral dumbbell raise is maybe a lateral cable raise, where with this exercise, when I set it up at about hip height and I start to work towards that top range of motion, as soon as this cable gets to where it's at an incline, or as it's ascending, I'm going to start feeling less resistance, and I can get a better squeeze and contraction at the end range of this exercise. So my delts get a little bit better squeeze, there's constant tension, and it's not so difficult that when I start to fatigue, I can only finish right here. I actually have the chance to go all the way up to the end range. So that's just one example. There's about 1,000, maybe more different ways to change different exercises using angles or cables or bands or chains for extra assistance or resistance. So play around with that, get creative with your different exercise selection and setups. But if you have any specific questions around certain exercises or muscle groups, ask below. I'll do my best to help support you. But thanks for tuning in to today's Trainer Tip Tuesday.